Oh,
To refresh. Still offline.
does it still?
What? No, it's just literally. I'm just looking at it. It says offline.
What the fuck?
Oh, there it is. It's online now.
Live. Uh-oh.
Hey.
Oh, here we go. Hey. Oh, damn.
Dope. Okay. So we're live. We're here. This is the first episode of the definitive rankings of everything. Our old Clubhouse show, but fuck Clubhouse. We're on Twitch.
Yeah, fuck Club Louse.
Club Fluglouse. We're on Twitch. Now we can see each other. Now we can see the list, and now we can have a good time. You know.
Yeah, and we don't have random people interrupting.
Yes.
That's the big thing.
Contribute on the chat, and then we can choose whether or not we want to acknowledge it.
Yeah, that's. I think that's a better way to do it.
Instead of having people talk over us. Yeah, we're here. We're with Jake Disharoon, our good friend.
Hey, what's up?
Not on Instagram, not on TikTok. On that
He's a real life friend.
He's on that cesspool Twitter, which sucks ass.
Oh, the hell site, you mean?
Yeah, him and that orange Cheeto president we used to have.
They're very similar. When I think of Jake, I think of him. I think they're the one and the same.
Same energy.
That's not really what I'm going for.
You guys both love filet-o-fish.
I guess that's true. We do have a lot in common.
So if you've never seen the show, what we do is we have a category and we decide what the top 10 is. God has called us to do this, which ironically enough, that's who we're ranking today. So let's give him a good one. But we have been called to rank things because the world needs that.
World needs order.
We're ending all your arguments for you.
Yeah, really. You should just look to our list.
Whenever you rank gods from now on.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you're ever like, hey, I wonder what the number 6 emotion of all time is, we've done it. We've worked through it. We've talked it out. We know the answer, and it's confusion, I think, or something like that.
I look at that list. It's like, oh, we might need to relook at that list.
Yeah, that I remember that list being hard and not making any sense. And when I remade it, I was like, we should do this again. I don't think it's correct. It's a lot of negativity on that list.
Confusion would be the 6th best emotion to feel?
No, just in terms of top emotions, culturally relevant emotions. So we all,
okay.
The thing about this list is we all come at it from different angles. We kind of set the parameters as we go, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like with Morgan, whatever sounds the silliest in his head, that's what he thinks is the best.
Yeah, he went. When we did sidekicks, Morgan went number 1 sidekick, Kobe Bean Bryant, and I think dropped the mic. I think he found a mic and dropped it on Clubhouse.
He thought he was going to blow our minds with that. This guy who was the alpha male on his team for every year he was there.
I said early Kobe too. He wasn't an alpha. Number 8 Kobe was a sidekick.
But who was he the sidekick to? Who was his Batman?
Shaq.
Okay, we don't got to do that.
We need to do this again because I'm still kind of self-aware about
We've talked through it already.
I mean, I don't know anything about basketball, but I know that that's incorrect.
Yeah, even the guy who calls it sports ball knows it's incorrect.
I do not call it sports ball.
So you know, this is who's on your team.
You love sports ball.
I don't say sports ball.
It's
important.
Watch
sports, but I don't say sports ball.
For the viewers that aren't in our in our friend group, just know that Jake is a big sports ball guy. He always mocks sports by calling it sports ball. You know, one of those people.
You can follow Jake on Twitter at Mr. Sportsball69.
That's not
Mr. Sportsball.
That is not true. The only time I say the word sports ball is when Matt accuses me of saying sports ball, and I have to say, no, I don't say sports ball.
Okay.
The only time I ever say it.
Well, you say it more than anyone I've ever met. So let's what we do also is it's me, Ehsan, and Morgan, and then we have a guest, and we're letting the guest pick what list they would like to do. Jake is a big Christian. He's very proud of his faith, and so he decided to go with God, and he said he would only be ranking 1 today. So
yeah,
we're gonna have to come up with the rest.
Jake often says Christianity is a sports balls of faith. He says that a lot.
I do say that a lot. That is the one time I will say sports ball.
I have a feeling today's episode, I feel like I'm going to learn a lot. I don't know how you guys are feeling. I feel kind of ignorant to everything besides my number 1 on the list. So
I did some research. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I did too.
I really like my list. I really like my list.
I
like my list too. I'm really shooting from the hip here.
I also want to start Okay. I also want to start with a proposal to you guys.
Okay.
In order to either piss everyone off the same amount or piss nobody off the same amount, are God and Allah the same?
No.
Yes.
I think yes.
I would say yes.
Allah just means God in Arabic.
Right.
Yes. Yes. And it's this literally the same God.
Yeah.
So to start,
I mean,
let's
so
put
Yahweh,
God.
Yahweh's that God too, then, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You just said it in a different language. Let's put that number one, right? Is anyone going to disagree with that? And then we can get started on the rest.
Well, I had him at number 4.
What?
Jake, that's pretty wild, man.
That is disrespectful.
Just, I mean, like in terms of what he accomplished, sure. But in terms of like the coolest
creating the universe?
Yeah, well, whatever. But a bunch of other gods created the universe. Odin created the universe.
To be fair, the list is called top 10 gods, and one of them is named God.
Sure. I mean, I had to put him on the list. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve a place on the list, but yeah, that was just where my head was at. I
can't see him anywhere besides number one.
Wait, so you're saying he's number one because his name is God?
Because he is the all-powerful, all-encompassing God.
Because I have someone who has God in their name twice on my list, who I actually was the first person I wrote down.
Wait, who's number one on your list, Morgan?
I mean, I have God over. I didn't make like a list 1 through. I wrote down a bunch of gods. Then I was kind of gonna workshop and figure it out with you guys.
Okay. Sure. So I put God as number one just because it's like, I mean, when someone says God to you, do you picture anyone else? Do you picture any other god? Like, is Odin the first thing that comes to your mind when someone says God? You're like, oh, Odin? Oh, no, the one that is ruling us now, I guess? I don't know.
You mean Ra, the Egyptian sun god? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I had him at number 3.
You have a number 3? You just said you didn't put him 1 through 10.
I have Ra at number 3.
Okay,
yeah, you said you didn't order him.
Okay.
Yeah, but Ra, he's pretty high on my list.
All right.
So you do
I think, despite what Jake says with that number 4 nonsense, we could put God, Yahweh, Allah.
I don't think you have to put. Yeah, it's just God.
I'm not gonna fight you on it.
I
can see the argument for why he would be number 1.
But wait, Jake, who's your number 1?
Yeah, who would be your number 1 then? Let's get that.
Well, my number 1, who I think is a pretty strong contender for the overall number 2, is Zeus.
Okay, I had Zeus number 2.
Yeah. See. I mean, he's like the king of the gods.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
When you say God, not the real God, Zeus is the one you think of.
Right. Anytime someone thinks of a mythological god, you go to Zeus.
It's him. It's the man.
Big beard, holding a lightning bolt, striking down mortals,
fucked lots of women,
turning into a bird, and having sex with a human woman.
Yeah.
Classic god shit.
What more can you ask from a god?
I had Jesus as number 2 too.
Ooh,
yeah.
I didn't put him on the list.
Son of God.
He's the son of God, sure, but he is God.
Okay. Here's my question.
Look at the Holy Trinity. He's God. Also.
Okay,
and it's all one though.
If we're doing that, then it would have to be God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit as 1 through 3.
No,
right?
Holy Spirit's
Those are the same entity.
Wait, is the whole? I mean, okay, but so here's why I put Jesus number 2, right? Whereas, God and Allah, they're literally the same entity. Throughout the stories, throughout the books, they're the same entity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus as a god is a huge point of contention between the number 1 and number 2 religions in the world right now. That's why I put Jesus as God number 2, because it is the bigger religion. It's sort of it's the religion that sort of has driven everything or been the driver's seat for, this current age of humanity. But the number 2 people are like, look, the God is the same, but the Jesus thing, that ain't it. That's why I put Jesus as number 2, because it's a point of contention on whether or not he is a God, and with some people really believing he is and some people really believing he's not.
Well, but the thing is, so the Holy Spirit is also a tenet of Christianity, and there's not really like a big fight about that between like Christians and Jews and Muslims, but that is a tenet of Christianity, and but they're all technically the same thing. It's the Trinity,
right?
God, right. The Trinity.
I wouldn't disagree, but I would say like even like if I were to add Holy Spirit as also my rank in this god list, it wouldn't make the top 10. I think there are more better gods than the Holy Spirit. But
I agree with that. I
regardless,
think it falls off after Jesus.
Yeah, I grew up Christian my entire life, and I have just the vaguest idea of what the Holy Spirit even is. It's
right.
Doesn't really register as making a lot of sense. It's like
that's what
God, and then like Jesus, which I can understand that relationship, but what is the Holy Spirit doing that God is not doing? You know?
Yeah.
That's like the Holy Spirit to me. It feels like more of a ghost than like a deity.
I don't think the Holy Spirit's making the list. I kind of included Jesus with God, but we can obviously put him number 2 if we feel we like.
Well, I think we can't include Jesus with God, because if we're saying God is also Allah and Yahweh, then they don't believe in Jesus.
Sure.
Well, or with this, that's a different entity. Jesus is a different entity than God, for a lot of people. But for me, the point of contention is big enough that because I don't believe he was God. I never grew up believing that. Yeah. Oh, big shock. Shocking news. So it's like...
How do I mute somebody?
Ronald Mexico Jr. said Jesus is a con artist, which I'm listening.
Interesting.
That is
the man who
smart and cool.
The man who died for our sins and saved humanity. Yeah, sounds like a con artist to me.
What was the con? He got killed.
He was crucified? Okay.
That was the long con. It's like, I've got a plan to make the Romans kill me.
Watch me feed
in the most brutal way possible.
Yeah. Watch me feed and save all these people just so I get killed.
Yeah. I'm devising a plan to trick the Romans into torturing me to death.
Good con.
You want in on it?
All right, so we put Jesus as number 2 then?
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, if we're making a distinction between Jesus and the Abrahamic singular God, then yeah, he's got to be up there.
Cool. Then we put Zeus 3. Does anyone have a problem with that?
Zeus is 3 on my list.
Yeah, you got to have Zeus up there.
We're okay. I'll go with Zeus 3.
Well, you disagree. Sounds like you disagree.
I had Ra's 3 just because
I got Ra on my list, but I don't have him top 5. I don't think he's like that cool.
Doesn't he have like a pyramid and shit?
Yeah, I know. I don't think the pyramids were for the gods, really.
Okay,
I could be wrong about that, though.
And the Egyptians kind of their gods did a lot. They had a lot of them. They diversified their gods. So
yeah.
The most important.
Zeus is like all powerful. He's like the king of the gods.
He's also the one we're taught out of all the old gods. I feel like Zeus is the one that we're taught the most of.
Sure,
he's the quintessential mythological god. There's no way around it. A lot of other cool gods out there, but Zeus, the image, big guy, burly, with
lightning,
the
lightning.
Yeah. Let me ask a question. So if we have Jesus number 2 after God, and we have Zeus number 3, does that mean we have to go Hercules number 4?
No. Hercules is not a god. He's a demigod. No.
Ares is. You could make an argument for Ares. That's also Zeus's son.
But Zeus had a bunch of kids.
Zeus had a ton of kids.
Yeah, but a bunch of the gods.
But there's nobody in Greek mythology that's as important to Greek myth other than Zeus that's as important as Jesus is to Christianity.
Well, in that case, I want to move Zeus up to number 2 and Jesus to 3.
Zeus can't beat Jesus, bro.
Yeah, he can. He was getting it in.
He can't. Sorry.
He did. I mean, if we're ranking on how often they fucked, Zeus crushes.
Yeah, I mean, that's
you don't know that. They just didn't write it in the Bible.
Hey, there's no way Jesus was fucking horses. There's just no way. There's no way. I'm like, there's no way Jesus.
Mary Magdalene, that was it.
Yeah, there's no way Jesus turned into an eagle and fucked a donkey. You know what I mean? Like, it's just in terms of I am okay with moving Zeus above Jesus.
Let me speak. Point of clarification. Zeus fucked human women. I don't know of any story where he fucked an animal. He would turn into an animal and fuck a woman, but that's not the same thing as turning into an animal to fuck another.
So he did the bestiality.
Oh, well, he might as well.
He was, he was the
all I'm saying.
Of bestiality? I don't know.
Wait, he could turn into animals? I'm starting to believe the Zeus guy wasn't real.
I mean, we're kind of talking ourselves into putting him above Jesus. The only thing I'm worried about is if my mom sees this list. But
wouldn't she just be pissed that God and Jesus are not on the same level.
Yeah, probably.
So
Yeah.
1A and 1B.
Christians have Jesus above God.
That's why I wanna put Zeus above Jesus too. I think it's a little more controversy inducing.
Do we switch them?
yeah, I mean, I'm really leaning. I mean, Zeus was my number one. So when you think about doing God shit, Jesus, he sacrificed himself, but his miracles were all kind of like water into wine and whatever.
He also was.
I'm kind of leaning toward the con artist thing a little bit.
He was mostly. Is this the first time you've questioned religion?
Yeah. Hey. Are you in middle school, Morgan? How are you reading this?
No, I'm just saying. Right, listen. Well, I'm just saying though, with the con artist thing, it's like turning water into wine. That's a trick. That's a con. Making a bunch of feeding all those people out of 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish.
We're not saying
sounds like a con.
We're not saying it's not.
Hey,
we're not saying it's not a con. We're saying we've all thought about this 12 years ago. You're just a little behind. We get it.
These are 7th grade thoughts.
Yeah, chill.
Yeah, you should check out this guy Richard Dawkins. Where you really like it.
I don't get the reference, so I'm not going to respond to you.
Well, you should look into him.
Here's my argument against Jesus too: is that most of his fame and cultural impact came when he was in human form. Right.
That's so true.
Him as a god hasn't really accomplished much.
Okay, so so Jesus might fall on this list. That's what this feels like.
I didn't have him.
Matt. I think most of his, or the reason why he's famous for all that shit is because he came back, which is some god shit.
I don't know.
True.
That's true, but he
doesn't come back, then he's just like a magician or something,
God, his dad made that happen. It's
God.
But isn't he his dad? Isn't he also his dad?
But if he's his dad, he shouldn't have a separate place on the list.
Once he died and became like God, then they were sort of a unified triumvirate or whatever, or trinity. But when he was a man, he was just a guy.
Well, he's more than just a guy, but he was a guy.
Yeah. He's a con artist.
But he was
Morgan. Morgan, go hang out with the chat for a little bit. Go have your mind blown by the chat. All right. So there we go.
What do we have as number 4?
My number 4 would be alongside Zeus. It'd be Odin.
See, okay. I had Thor instead of Odin. I mean, in Norse mythology, Odin was like way more important than Thor. But like in terms of what?
I said Thor's sick.
Yeah.
He's way cooler than Odin.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like in terms of like long-term cultural impact, Thor is just more cool.
Yeah, I mean he's a superhero.
I didn't have Odin on my list at all. I went way outside the box for number 4. I went way outside the box because I was like, how would I define a god? And the idea of being if you can create a universe, you're a god. So my number 4 is Stan Lee.
Interesting. Okay.
My number 4 is Stan Lee. Okay. You mentioned Odin and Thor. They're they're also part of his universe as well. They're part of what makes Thor extra popular now is the fact that he's in this probably some of the biggest movies of all time.
I say that's the main reason.
He's omnipresent. He's in every single one of the movies, even after he died.
Yeah, I mean, no disrespect to him, but I don't see him as a god.
But in the criteria of creating a universe, though, he did create this universe.
Sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, a fictional universe.
It's still a universe.
I mean, then I would put myself on the list.
Okay, so J.R.R. Tolkien then.
Yeah, George R.R. Martin.
Yeah, but like but
C.S.
the thing about Stan Lee is he's also in the thing.
Okay.
He's in a movie.
King,
yeah.
Stephen King wrote books about like a multiverse that he is in his books.
Yeah.
Right. And if you want to put him on the list, then I would accept that. I would just say that this is most relevant, one of the more relevant universes in modern times.
I'll put Stan Lee at 10 right now.
I like the thinking, and I appreciate the thinking, but I just don't. I don't feel comfortable putting him on this list. I mean, we can put him on and then see if he stays.
I mean, I would throw him in honorable mentions, maybe.
Well, I have a graveyard here.
You have a graveyard?
Yeah.
A gulag, if you will.
Whoa, that's cool.
Because I think he can get some respect, but
Sure.
I don't know if he's a god.
Okay,
Sure, yeah.
Well, I mean, I got one if we're going with silly guys now.
Well, let's quick talk. Let's quick call out. Let's talk out Thor.
That was my genuine number 4. That wasn't
this is a genuine one for me too.
Let's finish talking Thor and Odin, because I do agree that Thor has more cultural impact, and I'm fine with putting him on there instead of Odin.
Yeah, just like in Norse mythology, in like the stories, Thor was always doing dope shit. Like he drank an inch of the ocean worldwide. He like kills the world serpent at the end of time. Like that's just cool shit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what any of that means, but it sounds cool.
Yeah.
It does sound cool, but I will say this: if your stories are that cool and nobody gives a fuck, like so many years later, you're kind of.
People do give a fuck though. People love Thor.
Yeah, but
the hammer is
just heard those stories.
He's the main character in a huge franchise.
He's a secondary character.
He's one of the main characters, easily.
I would say, yeah.
He's one of the top 3, absolutely.
The main character is Iron Man.
And Iron Man's dead.
Way to spoil it.
Yeah.
This fucking guy.
So how do we? Okay, because I'm fine with Thor. How would you feel about Thor over Jesus?
No, absolutely not.
No.
Over my Lord and Savior?
I'm just putting it out there, just because Jesus fell once. I want to see if Jesus will keep falling, or is 3 his spot.
I think they're close. I think Jesus edges them out just a little bit. I mean,
Okay.
the number one selling book of all time is the Bible.
If we're gonna put Jesus on the list, I think above Thor, below Zeus makes sense to me intuitively.
Same.
Right. Okay.
All right. I have one for 5.
Okay.
I think it might go above Thor. Godzilla. Thoughts?
Pass. What's next?
Pass?
Yeah, just because he's not a god, bro.
Yes, he is a god. He's a titan. Those are gods. Him, Mothra, they're all gods.
I don't know.
I don't.
Where do you get that information from?
That's the story of Godzilla.
Is that he's a god?
Isn't he just a lizard that got hit with radiation? Like,
yeah, he doesn't even have full consciousness.
That was like the original.
He's like Alex Mack.
He's a prehistoric sea monster empowered by nuclear radiation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a monster. That's not a titan.
Yeah, but in the new ones, he's a titan.
In that vein, I think a similar, but in my opinion, better choice would be Cthulhu.
Ooh, is Cthulhu a god?
You could make the case. I mean, I don't know.
I think these are monsters, though. I don't think monsters are gods necessarily.
But Cthulhu he's different. He's not like just a lizard that got hit with radiation. He's like an ageless, unkillable being from the depths of like an alternate dimension. Like that's pretty good god criteria.
Yeah.
I mean, and he heralds the end of the world. That's pretty dope.
You know what's funny? I heard Cthulhu and I was like, oh man, this list ain't that nerdy. I was like, hell no.
Yeah, I don't know if he's top 10 gods. I think we have so many more gods to talk about.
I just looked up, is Godzilla a god? Although the name Godzilla is romanization of Gojira, the Japanese, something for gorilla, and something else for whale. He is a god, an ancient titan and potent punisher as Cthulhu. So he says he's just as potent a punisher as Cthulhu. So Godzilla's a god.
I don't think either of them belong on the list.
I would say if there's an argument to whether or not, I would say if you have to, Google it to see if it's defined as a god, it's probably not a top 10 god.
Yeah.
No one's looking at Zeus and being like, I don't know if this guy's a god.
Yeah.
It's pretty clear that it's a god.
This is the top 10 all-time gods.
I think Godzilla would whoop Zeus's ass.
Sure, in a fight. The list isn't about who would fight the best.
I thought Zeus was the most powerful.
If it was who would fight the best, Jesus would be pretty low on this list.
Yeah, he would.
I don't think Jesus would make the top 10 at all.
Oh no, bro, he came back.
Yeah, but it doesn't. Okay, what is he gonna just keep coming back? Is that his one fight move? No offensive attacks.
Eventually, you're gonna die off. Jesus just gonna keep coming back. And
he's gonna make bread at me.
Being peaceful.
They counted to 10 in the 3 days, so he lost.
Yeah,
he got knocked
out.
Knockout.
I have for 5. So I had Ra up here.
Okay.
But I had Ra a little bit in front of Thor, and I just put Ra in front of Thor just because, like, you got to get props, I think, for being the oldest major god that made it this long. I think Ra is recognizable as a god to everybody. Yep. I think there's no older god that I think is as recognizable as him, and I think, you got to give the OGs props.
Yeah.
That's why I had Ra above Thor. I had Thor right under. I went Ra Thor on my list.
I mean, hearing you say that and picturing him above Thor kind of does make sense to me too, because he is like, he was a badass. I don't know what you guys learned in school, but my school is very heavy on Egyptian gods.
I got a couple more. I got Osiris on there too,
but you put Osiris as well.
He's not above Ra for sure.
Ra is the Egyptian god everybody knows, right?
Yeah.
Well, I actually had Horus on my list instead of Ra.
Okay, interesting.
Because Horus was like more. I don't know. That's who I think of. That's like their hero god who's more involved in like actually doing shit.
Yeah.
He had the rivalry with either Set or Sobek, one of the bad gods.
Ra's
like fighting Horus.
Ra's more well known though, right? More culturally impactful.
Osiris or than Horus, yeah.
Yeah, I would think
probably.
I would think definitely. And then Ra's the whole thing where he's the sun god, so it's like the sun is involved, and that's a big deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the sun is in my honorable mentions.
Dung
but
beetles.
It's like, yeah. So it's like, I think Ra is the most recognizable of the Egyptian gods.
Do you guys want to put him above Thor?
No.
Really, I want to put him above Thor.
I would put him above Thor too.
I would not, personally. I think...
Chat, we need a tiebreaker.
I don't know. So, Ra, like, I think people know of him as the sun, but I don't think he has, like, in my mind, doesn't have as much agency as Thor. Like, Thor is out there doing shit, where Ra is just, like, this displaced celestial being just doing what he has to do, what he's, destined to do, which is run around the earth every day or whatever.
Bro, he gives you daylight every day.
Right. No,
he makes all this shit go around.
I get it, but what I'm saying is
Thor's fighting Nazis.
Yeah. Thor like goes and fights giants and like does feats of strength and fucks around with Loki, dresses up as a woman to sneak into the land of the giants. Like he's doing shit. He's having adventures.
But I will say this in terms of like Thor's fighting Nazis. Ra didn't sell out, in that sense. This no. You know what I'm saying? Thor sold out. He's doing the Happy Meal toys. You know what I mean? Like, oh, bro.
Ra's above that shit. Yeah.
Yeah, Ra's above it. That's why I want to put Ra above Thor.
He doesn't do that childish shit.
Yeah, well, you could also make the case that he's not interesting enough to sustain a comic book about him.
No, but he feels better than that. That's what it feels like.
Yeah,
from my end,
he's above
that. It feels better. He feels better than that.
All right, what do we do? Chat's not helping us out.
I'm putting Ra above Thor now. I changed my mind.
All right, we got one. It's 3 versus 1.
Yeah, that's all you need, bro. Yeah, you convinced me.
I
thought about it for a second. This motherfucker's giving us day every day, and we're gonna put a fucking comic book guy. This fat alcoholic.
Yeah, I mean,
what I'm thinking of is not like
the movies did kind of hurt his image.
He's just like an aspect of it, but whatever. That's fine.
All right, let me do my off the wall one then.
Okay.
I have Morgan Freeman from Bruce Almighty on this list.
Damn, bro. I got so hyped for a second. I thought you were gonna say my full name. I'd be like, Matt, thank you so much.
No.
I thought I was getting a Morgan Fraser myself. I was like, dude, for real?
No, I don't think you're a god.
Yeah,
I think you might be the farthest thing away from anyone I've ever met from a god.
That's not true. Simply not true.
Well, so my contention with that is, isn't he just playing God number one?
Yeah. But in terms of movie gods, I mean, is there a more iconic...
prolific movie god?
movie god than Morgan Freeman?
Besides Thor?
No, I mean like that. Like in a movie, God portrayed in a movie.
Like
maybe like
like
Alanis Morissette, but I don't think that many people saw Dogma. So I think Morgan Freeman is. If we can go this route, otherwise we can pass on it and get some.
I have a question: is James Earl Jones, was he a god in Field of Dreams, or is he just like that guy's imagination?
I don't know. I've never seen it.
That's a good question.
He feels pretty godlike to me. I feel like if you build it, they will come is way more prolific than anything Morgan Freeman said.
No, if you think of a movie god, I think people picture Morgan Freeman and Bruce Almighty.
I think so too, because I don't think in the movie it's explicitly stated he's God, so that has like angel vibes to it. You know what I mean? That's like a Gabriel thing to do.
Christopher Lloyd and Angels in the Outfield.
Yeah,
he's an angel.
That's pretty good.
But with that being said, I don't want to.
This was just to add a little pop culture into the list.
Yeah, I have one pop culture god too.
Who?
But it's more honorable mention. I put Rick Sanchez.
No, he's a scientist.
Yeah, but I put it in the terms of universe creating. He also creates universes. That was my criteria at the end of the day for like the off the wall picks. Is if you created a universe, you're a god.
Yeah, I mean he does have like he's basically omnipotent, right? Anything he wants to do, he just does it with the power of science. So I guess you could make that argument, but I also think he is very dismissive of the idea of gods, and he says that there is no god. So,
and you just said he uses the power of science. Gods don't use science.
True.
Yeah, which was
gods
given to us by a different god.
That's fair. Gods kind of live outside science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would put him as maybe in the top 10 scientists of all time.
Sure.
Which
I have
one next week, folks.
You're right. You should write down. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Rakim, the God MC.
Okay.
We're just gonna ignore that. The guy completely changed the landscape of hip hop music.
Yeah, he's a person that put God in his name. That's not a god.
Yeah.
Fine.
If you're a god, let other people say that about you.
Yeah.
You don't have to say that about yourself.
I don't think he said he was a God MC. I think other people did. He just went by Rakim at first, but that's neither here nor there. If you guys don't like it, you don't like it. I'll accept it. I'm realizing I have to redo most of my list because
Also, and let's be honest. If we were to ask people who knew anything about music, like who really knew about hip hop, like really like name the top 20 most influential people in hip hop.
You're getting Rakim for sure.
Is he number one?
No.
I also have Jay-Z on my list. So there's that.
Let me say this though.
He's Hova.
Kanye does have a song where he says
called I Am God.
I am a
Kanye,
god.
Also on my list.
I had Kanye on my list as well.
Yes.
Because I believe what he says. I believe that if he's a god, I believe that he wouldn't lie about it.
He said it so many times in that song.
That's very circular logic, and that explains why God in general exists as a thing.
Yeah.
God says he exists, so he must exist.
The god is called. The song is called "I Am a God," and he says it. Sounds good to me.
All right.
He does make people wait a long time for a promise. He to deliver a promise.
Yep.
That's very godlike.
Miracle, if we're being honest.
That is some very godlike. Yeah.
That is very godlike.
All right, I put him in the honorable mentions.
Kanye at number 6. Book it, or 5.
Wait,
where are we at?
Yeah, we still need to put 5 on the list. How about a little diversity here? How about I wrote down Athena.
Athena, that's good.
Or Aphrodite. I mean, whichever one we think is.
I have Athena. I think Athena is as far because that's so funny. When I wrote this down, I was like, we need some diversity on this list.
We need a woman, bro. We need at least one woman.
In terms of female Greek gods, I put Nyx, who is the embodiment of like nighttime. She's the mother of death and sleep and the fates. She's like a really, really important figure in Greek mythology. And it's just like a little bit more because Athena and Aphrodite are obviously more well known than her, and I think you could probably make an argument that they're more suited for the list. But to me, she is like the most interesting Greek god.
Where's the Temple of Nyx located?
Well, she wasn't worshipped.
Oh, interesting.
Madison Square Garden.
Well, that's all right. Off the bat, if she wasn't worshipped, get off this list.
Yeah.
All these people on this list were worshipped. Sure.
She sounds cool as hell. It also sounds like she can't hang with the 5 we have on right now.
Okay.
This is my first time ever hearing about her, to be honest.
Yeah, I've never heard of her either.
How do we feel about Lucifer?
Lucifer's not a god.
Not a god.
I don't think.
I know. Traditionally, he's an angel that went to hell, but he's worshipped more than most of these people we're talking about.
Yeah, but like, there's a clear distinction between God and angels, though. Yeah. That's.
Well, it's also you're just hearing that from God's point of view too. Lucifer could just be like some otherworldly shit that we don't know that.
Write your own book and tell us about it. You know.
Yeah, get better PR.
If Satan had something to say, bro, then he could say it. You know.
That's also.
Well, he worked through his prophets like Anton LaVey and
L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah.
The other guy.
we should put L. Ron Hubbard on this list.
But literally, I was like, if we need a female god, that's my first thought. Right, was like, oh, we need diversity on this list, and Athena immediately popped up. I feel like
she's the number one female.
She's probably the most recognized female god.
Yeah.
What did they do?
Well.
Jake said it before. She was like the god of babies or some shit.
No, Athena is the goddess of wisdom and war. You fucking.
The goddess of sandwiches.
Okay.
Again, Morgan is in 7th grade.
Yes.
Again, I think he's just reaching there.
He's a little behind.
Well, yeah. Okay, I do agree that Athena should be on the list, but I think if you ask what the most recognizable female god is, it kind of depends on like where you're asking at, because Shiva is a female
Shiva,
god.
Yeah. We could talk about her too.
I had the Hindu gods right after. I kind of put them all together.
I still think Athena might
very racistly.
I mean, yeah, this is coming from people who grew up in America.
This is definitely a West-centered.
But I think Athena is the most recognizable goddess. Maybe Venus because of those commercials, but
or because of the planet. Okay, the commercials
where they're shaving. They're shaving their legs.
She probably has some of the best art about her, like the picture of her on the clamshell or whatever. Pretty good.
I'd be cool with putting Venus in the honorable mentions list.
I like that. Give her a little love.
Nice.
She's the same as Aphrodite, right?
Yeah, she's the Roman version.
Okay.
Or do you want to put Venus on that? Or am I being too dismissive of Venus, taking her off the list? Now that there is like a planet, she has a planet. There's products. There's a Williams sister.
I mean, yeah, but every planet is named after a god, so there's a Williams sister.
It's like maybe
if it was the good Williams sister, maybe. But I think we can move her up if we need to. You know.
Okay.
She's out there now.
I'll be right back. Someone's at my door.
All right. See ya. Now we can get some work done.
It's all his 7th grade friends asking if he can come out and play.
Come play. All right. How about go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think I had Shiva next. So I think Shiva is part of a trinity, kind of like with Brahma and Vishnu. There's sort of that trinity idea. I think Shiva is the coolest of them because she's the destroyer. But I do think the Hindu gods deserve a spot on the list.
Yeah, maybe cows.
They're pretty. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know Matt was also in 7th grade. I forgot that also.
Someone had to fill it in while Morgan was gone.
We're a team, buddy.
I mean, what other Hindu gods are there? Is Shiva the most famous?
That's why I sort of put them all. That's why I put them all together. I think at least from our Western perspective, it's like they are recognizable as gods, right? The Shiva, the Vishnu. If you were to see the Devi, if you were to see pictures of them, you'd be like, oh, that's a Hindu god. Without hesitation. Ganesh, the elephant guy.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's why I kind of put them all together, because it's like, I think individually people might not know them, but like, they're just very famous.
But I do think individually people know Shiva. I think that's the one that people would.
Right. Well, yeah. I think the name and visually, Shiva having being multiple arms with swords. She's blue. She's very visually distinct. And Ganesh is also pretty visually distinct, but I think people probably wouldn't recognize that name as much as they would recognize the name Shiva.
I think of Ganesh.
Because that's like a name that's used in other mythologies and like referenced and stuff. There's probably like a Final Fantasy thing named Shiva.
There's definitely like some yoga pose that involves the word Shiva in it for sure.
Yep.
For sure.
All right. I like this. Let's put down Shiva. Is that how you spell it? Shiva?
Yeah. Would you put Shiva versus Athena now? I think it's a discussion that we could have.
I think I still put Athena above her.
Minerva's the Roman equivalent of Athena.
But I do kind of I tend to gravitate towards women with 2 arms. So maybe that's just my personal bias.
Right.
Well, Athena, I think, has like she's a more fully realized character. The fact that she's
for us, you do bring it's a more fully realized character for us.
Didn't she come out of
here in the West?
Sure, but what I meant is Shiva has like one specific role, which is the role of destruction.
Right. Okay.
Like she destroys things, and Athena, her being the goddess of war and wisdom, it's like those are sort of opposing ideas, and the fact that she can bring them together, I think, is a pretty interesting dynamic.
So here's, I guess, an argument as to maybe why Shiva over Athena. I think in terms of number of people who worship them.
Oh well.
I think
close then.
I think Shiva runs away with it.
Who's been around longer?
Ooh.
I don't know. Hindu is a pretty old religion.
Probably Shiva.
Probably some form of it.
Shiva? Yeah.
I would say they're probably at the very least similar in age. And I would think in terms of numbers of pure worship,
late 50s?
I would say, late 50s, around the time I Love Lucy came around. But I would think, that's why I would think I would put Shiva over Athena just because the pure number of people worship, I think. It's not even close.
We can move Shiva above Athena, but then we're taking Allah off the list.
Oh yeah, we don't want too much diversity.
Way to go, Shiva. Wasn't expecting
that's kind of a dark horse. I didn't think she'd be that high up.
So the next one was actually my number 3, and this might make me sound incredibly ignorant. And I know that he wasn't technically a god, but I had Buddha on the list because he has kind of risen to the status of a god of sorts.
He was not on my list, but I do fully agree with you because he was a real guy, right, who just said, hey, everybody chill out.
Yeah.
Whatever. Kind of like Jesus.
Very godlike.
But, a lot of mythology probably came from real people. I mean, Hercules might have been a real guy whose story grew in time. And there are a lot of stories in, like, the Far East and China and India about Buddha and things that he did that would suggest that he is more of a god than just a prophet or whatever.
Well, he didn't really do anything godlike, though, He just kind of, he was just a man that figured it all out. Like, all this is bullshit, none of this means anything. You should really just focus on, like, happiness and stop worrying about, like, earthly possessions.
Sounds like a god to me.
He's
just a really fucking smart guy. He's your chillest friend that just became, like, known worldwide.
You're discrediting him a little bit.
Yeah, I think he did some stuff. For sure. There was a lot of long-term meditation that's pretty inhuman that he did.
Right. Well, so there's a story in, like, I don't know if you would call it mythology or folklore, but where Buddha is talking to this other mythological feature called the Monkey King, who's just sort of a cosmic rascal, I guess. And the Monkey King keeps telling Buddha, like, I'm so much better than you, whatever. And Buddha says, all right, I challenge you to carve your name in the pillars of the heavens. The Monkey King's like, no fucking problem. I wouldn't even know what that means personally, but he's like, I got it. So he, like, flies across the universe to the pillars of the heaven, carves his name, and he comes back. He's like, what's up, Buddha? I just did it. And Buddha shows him his hand and shows that he had actually carved his name into Buddha's hand.
Whoa.
Meaning that Buddha is, like, supporting the universe. He contains the pillars of the universe. Boom.
I think he belongs on the list.
So there you go.
I kept him off the list just because it's like he's a man, and I think all these other people would say they were God.
Yeah, but
I don't think Buddha would ever describe himself as a god.
Claim to be God. Yeah.
On Earth, Buddha wouldn't say that, but post-mortem, he has achieved this idea of like being worshipped as a god.
Yes.
So, and is John Lennon a god?
Yeah, if you want to discredit my argument with a silly thing like that, sure.
Well, I'm just saying he's like he would never say he was a god, but post-mortem he's worshipped.
He was a musician, Morgan. You understand
that?
I
understand that. I understand the difference between a musician and a god. But what I'm saying,
but the argument is, I get what Morgan's saying. The argument is that like we're like, let's say this sort of reverence for John Lennon keeps growing over the ages, right? Like Buddha was just a guy then, John Lennon was just a musician now. You know what I mean? So it's like, does everything that people pile on after the fact that you are dead, make you a god?
If they do the show in 2,000 years and John Lennon has achieved a worldwide religion, a huge religion based on
like folk tales of
teaching,
him, and people tell tales of John Lennon.
Yeah, then sure, then put him on the list.
Progenitor of the universe.
Right now, I don't think John Lennon's a god.
Well, that's fair, but
so when we like talking about Jesus, we think that Jesus said he was a god because of what's in the Bible, but we have no way of knowing if he actually said that, right? There is a pretty good chance in my mind that he was just a guy who had like an ideology that he spread, and then a lot of the stuff was put on him later, and his myth grew, and he became worshipped as a god.
Right. But
he was just a guy, though.
It's in the Bible, which is what we use to be like, oh, that's the sort of what we're using to base on that, like this guy is a god, because he says that he's a god, right? It's in the thing, right?
Yeah,
it's in the thing. With Buddha, it's not in the thing. We know from a story that Jake told that he read on the internet. You know,
I read that in a book. Okay.
Yeah. All right, whatever. But it's not 90s internet.
You didn't just learn about Buddha right now. You know him as the figure of a huge religion.
Right, but I don't know him as the creator of the universe. That's a whole different thing.
Sure, neither is Ra, neither is Thor, neither is Shiva, neither is Athena.
But you read the teachings of Buddha, and he never mentioned himself being a god. Jesus called himself the Son of God.
Sure.
We think.
Yeah, but I think there's more like, okay, fair. We do think, but there was no one following around Buddha being like, this is God, I'm following this guy from beginning.
Yeah, there was. There still is.
There definitely was that, but it's like, he
didn't have 12 disciples, did he?
Yeah, like Zeus's 12 disciples? Like Ra's 12 disciples? Like Thor's 12 disciples?
But the difference is, though, Ra and Zeus and all those guys, like, they never came and showed, you know what I mean? They were never men living on Earth.
I think a part
right, but that's what makes him more special. That's what makes him different than all these other guys. They don't have to all be the exact same.
What also
you were alive and never claimed to be a god. Why am I going to call you a god now?
Yeah, it's like Buddha's Buddha, and Buddha's the one I'm actually sure existed as a human being.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure. I didn't come in here and say he's a god. I said I know he existed as a person, but I think he's achieved this status of being a god. I think now he has become the idea of Buddha is a god.
Once you get your name in the religion, I kind of feel like you deserve a spot on the list.
That's a fair argument. That's a fair argument. I'm just saying Buddhists. I don't think Buddhists worship Buddha though.
No.
They worship his teachings.
No, they live his teaching. I don't think they worship.
Right. Well,
there's no worship in Buddhism.
Living someone's teaching is worship.
You could make the case that is a form of worship
for sure.
And he's held in very high reverence. I mean, the actual definition of what makes someone a god or not is like really messy. I mean, looking at this list already, like the difference between God and like Thor is pretty massive. Thor, like the Norse gods were mortal. They were stories about them dying. So there's this massive discrepancy in like power and abilities, and Thor didn't solicit disciples either. And as far as we know, a lot of these mythological gods were based on real people who actually existed. And, stories have a life of their own.
What does chat say? If chat, what is
chat
Buddha
saying,
a god? I'll put it out to chat.
Chat saying the Beatles and Michael Jordan, so maybe we don't listen to that. All right, so we're all cool with putting Buddha.
I just want to say the definition of God, though, in Christianity and other monotheistic religions, the creator and ruler of the universe and source of all moral authority and supreme being. In certain other religions, a superhuman being or spirit worshipped as having a power over nature or human fortunes, a deity. I don't think Buddha is either of those things.
Either of those things?
Yeah, I don't think Buddha would fit into either of those categories.
Then what 3 do we put on?
He's not a superhuman, right?
No, as a person, Buddha was not. But the idea that like where he has risen to after his death and in religion that's what I'm saying. He's worshipped.
Yeah, but you could be worshipped without being a god. That's what my John Lennon point was.
Right, but I mean, I don't think.
I get what you guys were saying. There's definitely it's definitely a different thing than John Legend or John Lennon. Well, John Legend maybe a god, but John Lennon. Yeah, he you can be worshipped without being a god.
I understand that. So stop bringing up John Lennon. I don't think that's a good argument against Buddha.
Audio.
Matt, we can barely hear you.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
No, I don't know if we can.
I'm joking.
Matt, you're completely off.
Yeah, we can't hear you anymore. And he seems fine with it.
Yeah, he seems pretty cool about it.
Probably okay. Big smile. But for the sake of argument, for the time being, I'll put Buddha.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, yeah, I don't know who we put above him. Like, we can leave him off the list, but I don't know.
I said we can put him at 8 right now. We can let him get.
I would say we put him at 8, but I think there should be a note on the list that said this was the most controversial one, because I want to hear what other people say. That's one of those things where I want to hear other people say who weren't here to watch it live. Yeah, I want to know what they think. That's one of those ones I want because that is the only one so far that we've completely hit a 50-50 dead split on.
Yeah.
Chad is saying Buddha should. Yeah. Chad saying Buddha should be left off the list because as he isn't worshipped, it's his teachings.
I mean, that's a point we've made already, and let's move on to something else and see if Buddha gets bumped.
Yeah, if he gets bumped. That's fine.
But this is the first 50, so I want to know what people outside of this think too, because this is the first true 50-50 split. I don't think any of us are budging on how we feel.
I got a controversial one.
Okay.
You and me.
I
had us on my list as well.
I had
gods in all of us.
I had one of us on the list as well.
One of us.
Because what if God was one of us? But but that falls under your category, though. That does fall under what you're saying.
It's posing a hypothetical.
That's a question.
What if God was one of us?
Yeah, but it falls. It falls under your criteria, and it's a way funnier way of saying it. So that's why I wanted on the list.
I had us as our number 9 for like the New Age. God is all of us. God is in everything. People.
It's not even New Age. That's a Christianity, right? The kingdom of heaven is within you.
Christianity's God is God, but there's people that believe that God exists inside of us. Hey, someone else thinks Morgan Freeman should be on the list. I agree with that.
Yeah, I know. I see that.
I'll put
someone
him in
else
the
thinks Bruce Almighty should be on the list. I don't think they understood that movie.
No, I think you could put Morgan Freeman 10 and see if we can knock him off.
All right, I'm cool with that.
But not Morgan Freeman and Bruce Almighty, just Morgan Freeman.
Just Morgan Freeman,
the man.
Yeah, just Morgan Freeman.
Morgan, the narrator.
Yeah. Morgan Freeman's voice is for sure. Morgan Freeman's voice above Buddha, to be honest.
Morgan Freeman / his voice.
I mean, everyone on my list is done. Oh, we're still talking about us.
Mm-hmm.
So Jake and Ehsan don't seem to like this.
I mean,
I think Ehsan agreed.
Considering it, I guess. Yeah, I mean, because when I first heard that, I was like, well, that's just sort of like an offshoot of the Christian conception of God being a part of us. But there is like a school of thought of like pantheism that God is everything and everyone, and our consciousness is a part of God and all that stuff. So I can kind of get down with that. I respect us being God.
Yeah, I had us as well. So
us in the 9 slot looks pretty good.
I do like us in the 9 spot. I mean, it's interesting that it scares me that no one has anything to say about that. Like, no one wants to argue that. That's what scares me about it.
I mean, that's exactly where I had it on my original list.
Fucking self-esteem. They were like, yeah, sure, I'm a little bit of God.
Yeah, that's also like says a lot about us.
Why not? Yeah.
Well, I
don't mean us,
believe
the
that
four
as
of
much
us.
as I believe in
You?
Yeah. I mean, that's a list. What do we have left off?
Do you want to add some honorable mentions here? So
I mean, we can still,
because honorable mentions are hilarious right now. It's Stanley, Kanye West, and Venus. I feel like
we can see if anything else can crack the top 10 though too. You know, not everything.
Yeah. So everything that I have has been said. But I do think, there's like a ton of other mythologies out there that we haven't even touched. Like,
I mean, I got some other ones.
Yeah, go for it.
God, Sham God.
Who's that?
First off, God's in his name twice. Secondly,
who's that?
He was a New York City AAA player that invented.
No. Next.
His name's God Sham God. It's in his name twice. Why can't he be on the list,
bro?
Yeah.
What if John Lennon's name was God?
Freeman?
Yeah.
How about Charlemagne the God?
Morgan definitely has him on the list. I had like Hades and Ares on my honorable mentions.
I had Ares too.
I had Hades just because he's the closest thing we have to like a devil that's a god.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a Greek mythology that has like a ton of really, really good possible entries. I actually put in my sort of honorable mentions Hephaestus, who was a Greek god, but he was born deformed, so his mom tried to kill him.
Absolutely.
And he was married to Aphrodite, but she cheated on him constantly.
Damn.
So it's the idea of a god who just kind of sucks is that's cool to me.
So you want to deform the cuck?
Yeah. 100%.
I
just think that's an interesting take on what a god is. Like a guy who's just owned all the time.
Yeah.
You don't get that a lot. Oh, also Loki.
Yep, Loki.
I had Loki in my honorable mentions.
Loki. There's a story in Norse mythology of Loki turning into a female horse and getting fucked by a regular horse and then giving birth to an 8-legged horse.
You should see. So, you guys should look up pictures. Look up pictures of Loki's children. They're the most badass pictures.
Oh yeah, Fenris, Hel, and Jormungandr.
Yes, because they're like one is a giant wolf, one is a giant snake.
Oh shit.
Was Loki always evil?
God damn.
He's not really evil in Norse mythology.
He's mischievous.
He's a trickster. Yeah, he does some really bad shit and gets punished.
I also had Poseidon written down.
Poseidon.
Sure. I like that.
He's just kind of badass.
I did play Poseidon in a 5th grade play, so I'm also all about Poseidon.
Not really what I picture Poseidon to look like, but
we were out here trying new things. We did say this was a Western list. I'm out here changing perceptions.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
Oh, what about Anubis?
I had Anubis down too because that's a very recognizable Greek god
from Overwatch.
Yeah, Egyptian. Yeah, being because that's kind of like a unique role. I feel like there's not a lot of.
He's the dog head guy.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I have him on my list.
A jackal, but he's like the judge of the dead, which is he's not like the god of fire or war or whatever. He has a specific role that he does. I think that's interesting. Not a lot of gods like that.
Yeah.
You want to add these to the honorable mentions, or is there no space to do that?
Yeah, I can add them.
What about Tom Brady? He's gonna be worshiping.
Anyone have anything else?
You need some more Americans on this list.
Let's have Poseidon.
Anubis.
The Zodiac Killer thought he was a god.
I had Osiris too. But
yeah,
whatever. kind of boring.
Loki. Add Loki to that.
Oh, Loki, of course.
We should probably. Do we add Odin to the honorable mentions?
Oh yeah, I forgot he didn't make our list.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like.
What about
Odin
Lilith?
I personally feel like Odin should knock off Morgan Freeman.
Ooh, here we go.
So here's my argument for this. I do too. But we'll get much more engagement if Morgan Freeman's on the list instead of Odin.
Morgan Freeman's
kind of selling out. I'm selling out for the show, but we need a little bit of interesting on there, you know?
Yeah,
I agree with that. But maybe Odin over us. I think he's more interesting than us, personally.
No, but that also feed people's narcissism.
Yeah.
Okay.
True.
Yeah,
it feeds mine. I don't want to knock myself off this list. Are you out of your fucking mind?
Yeah, I'm not taking myself off this list either. Here, I'll do this. I'll move Odin to the front of the honorable mentions.
Yeah, you can knock off.
I was gonna say if any honorable mentions taking out Morgan Freeman, it's Kanye. Like if we're being real about this.
Who else? Who else can we add to the honorable mention?
I'm resistant to a god just being a guy who's been alive in the last 10 years. It's like a really popular dude.
Can we put Ganesh? Can we put Ganesh on the honorable mentions? The dude's an elephant.
Yeah, how do you spell that?
That's true.
Ganesh.
New rule: if you don't know how to spell the person's name, they can't be on any list.
Well, okay.
Except for Ganesh.
I was gonna say then you can't do the list, but I don't think you're gonna anyway.
Roman says Kanye should be higher.
Chad's saying Kanye should be higher. So
I mean, I agree, but we're not going to get that past Jake and Ehsan.
No, we are guarding that gate.
He's staying on
gate is shut.
Yeah, for sure.
We don't have one black god on here. Well, we have Morgan Freeman.
What are you talking about?
Freeman.
Number one god is black. What are you talking about?
Yeah, Jesus.
Good point.
You fucking racist?
Yep, we have several.
Jesus, right. Shiva's an Indian woman.
Yeah.
Buddha's an Indian man.
But
we have diversity.
Ra's African.
There's a lot of black people in us.
Yeah.
that was a movie by a black director.
Such a good.
Ra's African.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
African American.
I had to take a look at the list again. I apologize. I was wrong. There are plenty of black people. Maybe too many, to be honest.
This is an American list, so we do have too many.
There's no American gods on here, though.
That's what I was saying. We need like George Washington.
Jesus was born in America.
Morgan Freeman and us and God.
Morgan Freeman's born in South Africa.
He's American, though.
Was he? Was Morgan Freeman born in South Africa?
Or are you thinking of Nelson Mandela?
No, he's from Mississippi. I was joking. I know he's not from South Africa.
Always get them confused. Morgan Freeman and Nelson Mandela.
They do look alike. Freckles.
He definitely played him at one point, right? There's no way he hasn't.
I think you're making that up.
I bet he has.
Oh,
no.
Just like you've played Anubis. It was in his 7th grade play.
Is that Dolman? Is that how you say that name in the chat? I'm asking chat.
Oh, he did play Mandela and Invictus.
Dolman.
Yeah, bro. It's like
Dolman,
obviously.
Is it Dolman? Well, either way, you in the chat saying this is bullshit. What's bullshit?
That Kanye isn't higher.
They want Kanye. They want Kanye and Hercules.
I agree with him.
And the Beatles.
I'll be honest. Dolman is that's my burner account.
No, that's Dan. That's Dan from.
What's up, Dan?
From Among Us.
Dan, get a username and stick with it. For Christ's sake. What are you doing? He has like 10 accounts on the Discord, and none of them are Dolman.
So funny.
Christ. Anyway, thanks for watching.
Yeah, I think that's the list, huh?
This is not a bad list. I don't know if chat wants to add in. What else? We'll give chat a chance other than Dolman. We've heard yours. We've heard yours.
We've heard enough from Dolman. Yeah, we haven't heard from Dawson's Creek or a 10.
But if there's any other gods, but I'm happy with this list.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think we did good.
I do too. Yeah, I think there's some on here that I wouldn't have thought of. No mentioning of Charles Manson.
Yeah. Not a god.
Yeah.
What are you, Morgan?
I mean, if we were going to put a serial killer, I would say
Charles Manson up there.
the Zodiac Killer, because he thought of himself as a god, and he killed people in order to obtain slaves for the afterlife.
Yeah, but he didn't have any hits like Charles Manson.
Wow, that's pretty metal.
Yeah.
It's a lot cooler than Charles Manson, in my opinion.
Zodiac Killer had hits like Charles Manson. I would say Zodiac Killer is up there in terms of like.
I never heard Zodiac Killer's music.
Better movie than Charles Manson.
Way better movie than Charles Manson.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That's it then.
Because Manson was literally worshipped as a god and asked people to kill themselves.
He's not making.
He never asked people to kill themselves. I don't think. Either way, he's not making the list.
I don't know enough about Charles Manson to say.
No, he's not making the list.
Yo, have you ever listened to Charles Manson's music?
Yes.
Not bad.
It's not very.
No, it's
not very good.
It's the same thing that people do with Hitler's paintings, where Hitler's paintings aren't that good, but people are like, "Oh, look how good it is." It's like, no, it's just because it's Hitler.
You're just trying to. You're just trying to be cute.
Yeah, you want it to be good. You want it to be good, but he got rejected from art school for a reason.
Jim Jones.
Yeah.
Jim Jones.
Plus, I mean, one thing the Zodiac Killer has over Charles Manson is Zodiac Killer's still out there. Charles Manson died in prison.
Allegedly.
Wait, what if the Zodiac Killer was Charles Manson, though?
Damn.
That'd be impressive.
That would rule.
that would be fucking awesome.
I would be so fucking psyched if that was true.
Something to think about until next week. Cool. Well, that's our list then of top 10 gods.
I like it.
Way to go.
We should do a new thing. So we have like a whole list that we're letting guests pick from. Jake, add one category to the list as a parting gift.
Oh my god.
Oh, other people put on the spot like that.
We have like 40 written down. I don't think you need to do that, Jake.
But next week we'll do it.
Next week is already picked, so.
Yeah, you would have to tell me this in advance. I can't think of animals.
You can't think of a category.
Hey, Jake, quick before you leave, think of a really good idea for our show.
It doesn't have to be really good. That's the beauty of it.
Cool.
How about works of art?
Well.
That's actually
Thank you. Wow, look at that. We all shit on Morgan's idea, and look what it gave us.
I mean, we got lucky that.
That's so broad. It could be anything.
Yeah.
Exactly. That actually works.
That's a good one. I like it.
Top 10 Hitlers is a funny idea. All right, cool. Jake, I'm sure we'll have you back soon.
Love to do it again.
Yeah, hell yeah. Good job, everybody. We'll see you all next week, 12 p.m. PST. Wait, 1 p.m. PST. 12 p.m.
1 p.m. PST.
1 p.m. PST.
That's what we do.
Thanks for coming. That was a good first step.
Yeah.
Good job, guys.
All right. See y'all.
Hey.
Thanks.